Happy Tuesday, 8th grade. I just want to go through today's assignment, walk through it with you so it's a little bit more clear. So today's learning targets are very similar to the targets that we have been working on. Yesterday, we worked on developing a topic with relevant, well-chosen facts, definitions, concrete details, quotations, or other information and examples in informative text. That was the research that you did. So I hope you got some research done. Mrs. Ash showed you my research page, and I shared that with you yesterday. So today I want to focus more on these two learning targets here. I can introduce a topic clearly for an informative text previewing what is to follow. That's your thesis statement. You've been writing thesis statements in 7th grade, we practiced, and earlier this year in 8th grade, we practiced as well. That's your thesis statement right here. And this one, I can organize ideas, concepts, and information into broader categories and in an informative text. So what does that look like? So last week, I had you watch the video on text structures. Informative writing often has really predictable text structures, and I had you watch the video and then do some IXL work on that. And I just want to go into that a little bit deeper today. And then today, you're going to move on to the drafting phase of your nonfiction writing piece. So in your Google Classroom, you'll have a copy of this as well to refer to. Nonfiction text structures. What are those? These, by all means, are not the only structures that a nonfiction text might have. They're just really common ones, and they're ones that were presented to you in the video you watched last week as well. So the cause and effect text structure, oftentimes authors will use this when they want to explain the cause and effect of something. Paragraphs are structured as cause and effect, explain reasons why something happened or the effects of something. There's lots of signal words that give the reader the cue whether this is organized in the cause and effect structure. And those signal words are so, because, therefore, if, then, this led to, as a result, maybe, due to, for this reason, consequently. So not only as a reader are these clues to what type of structure the author used, but they're also helpful for you as writers, because whatever topic you picked, you might want to use some of these signal words to help your writing flow and to transition from idea to idea. Here's an example of the cause and effect text structure in use. I'm not going to read it to you. You can go ahead and read it to yourself in the slideshow that I send you. Another text structure that authors often use is compare and contrast. And this is a text structure where the similarities and differences of two or more things are explored. So if that's a text structure that you're thinking that might work for whatever topic you are going to be writing about, you're going to want to pay attention to this slide and then make sure you look at the mentor text example that's on the next slide. So some signal words, same as, similar, as well as, not only, but also, both, instead of, either or, on the other hand, as opposed to. So again, not only are these words that you might find as a reader giving you a clue to what text structure is used, as a writer, you'll want to use some of those as well. So if you are going to use this text structure in your draft, you might want to come back to this slide and take a look at these words as well. Again, here's an example of an author that used the compare and contrast text structure in his or her writing. Another text structure that you might use, so think about your topic right now. What do you think is going to work best for your ideas that you have? Sometimes the sequence or process text structure is the best one to use. And it's in sequential order, and it's when information in a passage is organized by the order of which it occurs. So this is often when you're giving directions. It's not to be mistaken with chronological order. Chronological order is different. Chronological order is referencing a particular time. Sequential is the time order that the process that it's going through. So for example, you might see this text structure used in a recipe or you might find this text structure used when it's trying to describe the process of something, maybe how a president is elected. So that's the sequential or process. What's the process of this? And remember, don't confuse it with chronological text structure. Here's an example of an author who used sequential text structure in his writing. And the other one that you heard of in the video as well is the problem and solution. So information using this structure is expressed as a dilemma or a concerning issue, something that can be or should be done to remedy this issue. Signal words include the question is, the dilemma is, the puzzle is, to solve this, one answer is, one reason for the problem is, ... And here's a really short example. Some countries, such as Japan, or parts of a country like California or in the United States, have a lot of earthquakes. There's our problem. In these places, it is a good practice to build houses and other buildings so that they will not collapse when there is an earthquake. This is called seismic design or earthquake proofing. There's your solution. So I wanted to share just this short text with you. The problem is stated and then a solution. The last structure that I want to look at is description. And this is the one I think Mrs. Ash is going to use. Remember, I decided on my topic of John Trudell. I think a description structure is going to work best for me, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. So description, a topic, idea, person, place, or thing, is described by listing its features, characteristics, and or examples. Some signal words that you might include in your piece of writing, or that you might see included in other writing that's done in this way, are for instance, such as, an example, to illustrate, characteristics. So I want you to continue practicing on IXL. I only had maybe one or two people practicing on IXL. So make sure that to familiarize yourself. And it's going to not only help you become a more strategic reader, but it's also going to help you as a writer, especially with the upcoming assignment that you will be working on. So make sure that you practice on IXL so you become more familiar with it. So let's take a look at today's assignment. Learning topics. So watch this video lesson first. Hopefully you're doing that. Research, read articles, blog posts, or any available materials on the subject of your choice. Make sure that your sources are credible. We talked about this yesterday as well. Continue to do your research. Once you start writing, you might come up with questions where you find out, oh, wait, I have to do a little bit more research. And then today for your writing assignment, I want you to begin your rough draft, thinking about the format and structure that will best suit your topic. So Mrs. Ash decided my format is going to be a picture book, a page from a picture book. Now, the picture book that I am using as a mentor text is this book right here, Enough, by Emily Easton. And I like the structure of it because it introduced, this is 20 protesters who changed America. I'm working on this with my 7th graders, this book in particular. And what I noticed when I read it, it's that it's really beautiful, but there is not one Native American protester in here. So I want to use this as a mentor text, and the way it is formatted, you can see that it has a really simple sentence: Rosa kept her seat. And then it has a really beautiful picture that goes along with it. But then at the end, it goes into more detail. And there's these little blurbs that's a more informative paragraph about the protester. So I decided that I'm going to use this as my format, a page or two, actually a page and a blurb about a protester. So I'm going to use John Trudell, and I'm going to use this as a mentor text. So when you begin your rough draft, you want to think about what format you're going to use. Are you going to, remember they're listed here, I kept them here. Is it going to be an essay, an interview, a blog post, a news article, a picture book, a biography, a photo essay, interactive article, magazine article, and we looked at some of these last week as well. And then you also want to think about, in addition to your format, what structure will you use? So I am going to use that. Here's our structures. I'm going to use that descriptive structure. So the first thing that I did is I looked at this as a mentor text, but then I found one more mentor text, and I knew I wanted to use that descriptive format structure. So I went to Newsella and I just looked at some other biographies about people. How can I use this as a mentor text to write my piece about John Trudell? So I looked at this one, and it's about Notorious Victoria, the first woman to run for president. And I just looked at how they had it set up. So there's kind of like an introduction piece right here. And then there's subtitles, the subject of women's rights. Candidacy brought attention to issues, death and legacy. And I decided, you know what? I am going to use that same structure with those subtitles in my piece of writing about John Trudell. So let me show you what mine looks like. Of course, I did it in my notebook. I like to write it down first. So here is my first draft, and that's what I want you to work on as well. What is your first draft? And I put a picture of it down here. Oops, I meant to put a picture of it down there. Let me do that right now with you while you're watching really quickly. So I emailed it to myself. Thanks for hanging in with me. I meant to do that before the video started, and now I'm way into the video and I don't want to restart the video.